All right, welcome back to another episode of the Jay Yumble Experience. It was a big week in college football this week. Huge week. Huge week. And there was an upset that I was very happy about. But we're going to get into my first segment of the day, which is Dumbass or Dumbasses of the Week. Dumbasses of the Week goes to Jerry Jones, Mike McCarthy, and the entire Dallas Cowboys organization. And I'll tell you why. So not only did the Cowboys get absolutely stomped by the Detroit Lions this week, 47-9, if y'all didn't watch it, by the way. And if you know me, you know I'm a huge Cowboys fan, absolutely massive. Not only did that happen, but Jerry Jones made a comment this week. He said that they will remain stagnant. They will not move any trades this week, and they will not be going hards in trade. And that's why you get Dumbass of the Week, Jerry Jones. Not only did you do nothing during the offseason, the biggest thing you did during the offseason was sign a long snapper. You got Dalvin Cook, who is still yet to play it down. You got Zeke Elliott, who is getting 5 carries for 15 yards a game currently this year. We have Rico Dowdle, who last game only got 25 yards on 5 carries. You're letting Dak Prescott throw 40 times a game. Obviously, that is not working. Last 2 games, he has had 6 turnovers. By the way, in that game against the Detroit Lions, they doubled us in total yards, and that's passing yards per play, and that's rushing yards. We only had 56 yards rushing, 198 yards passing, and 3.9 yards per play. Absolutely abysmal. Trash. Terrible. Dak Prescott was 17 for 33. Jerry Jones, you didn't do anything in the offseason. You did nothing. You had Derrick Henry, who really wanted to be a Cowboy, never gave him a call. Never gave him a call. You had Stephon Diggs, who was looking to get to a new place. Devontae Adams, who just got traded to the Jets, was looking for a new place. Your entire defense, including Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, are both hurt. DeMarcus Lawrence, who is on IR. Micah Parsons right now is week to week with a high ankle sprain. And your team is 3-3. You are currently still the GM, but knowing you probably won't fire yourself. You just keep doing the same bullshit and expect Cowboys fans to do the same thing we do every year and say, oh, this is going to be our year. We signed Dak. We signed CD. We got Micah Parsons fresh. We got DeMarcus Lawrence, who was looking good last year with a total of 6 sacks. Micah Parsons was second in the Defensive Player of the Year runner-up last year. I think second or third, him or TJ Watt. You had Trayvon Diggs coming back. You had Deron Bland coming off a legendary year last year. I believe 6 total pick sixes yet last year. Our defense was amazing last year, leading up all into that Green Bay game that we played them in the playoffs, and we absolutely shut down in defense. Everybody wants to blame Dak, but Dak does not play defense. Our defense looks absolutely atrocious. We can't stop a nosebleed. Obviously, we have 2 linebackers, 4 DNs, and 2 cornerbacks out. Obviously, you can't do much about that. Everybody wants to blame Dak, but our defense is just gave up 47 points to the Lions. We got, absolutely obliterated by the Saints. And what is Jerry Jones going to say? He's going to come out and say that we're not going to make any big trades. We're not going to go hard in trades. And why aren't we doing that? Because he's content with being mediocre. He's content with being mediocre. He's not looking to make a better team, it doesn't look like. Not based on the effort he's putting in. Not based on the effort he's putting in. You got Bill Belichick, who could easily run our entire organization and just let Jerry Jones sit in the fucking skybox. But instead, he's out there going on Peyton and Eli's show, doing bullshit for Monday, Thursday night games, whatever the fuck it is. And our Cowboys look like shit. And I'm talking to you, Cowboys Nation. We've been doing this for since 96, and I was born in 01. I was born in fucking 01. I haven't seen the fucking Cowboys even make it past the fucking the first 2 rounds of the fucking playoffs. So I'm gonna say this. Oh, I haven't even got on Mike McCarthy yet. Mike McCarthy took over the play calling. And it's absolute terrible. It's terrible. It's awful. He's not calling good games. He's putting Dak in situations where he's having to throw the ball and not reading the defense. I don't know if they're playing some type of college offense. I'm not sure what the fuck we're doing, but we're unbalanced. We're unable to run the ball. We're giving Zeke the ball 3 times a game. We're going to bring him back like he's going to do something. Like I said about Dalvin Cook, I haven't even seen him touch the fucking field yet. We just signed CD. He's only getting like 90 yards per game. He is top 5 in yards, yes. But yards don't fucking do anything for us if we're losing games. Behind that, Brandon Cooks, I believe he's hurt or somewhat hurt. Jalen Tolbert's doing okay. Dalton Schultz. No, not Dalton Schultz. I'm sorry. Jake Ferguson, he looks pretty good. But we are unbalanced. We're forcing Dak through the ball for 35 times last game. 35 times. You're not going to win the game with Dak throwing that much. It's a fucking statistic fact. We're not going to win the game with Dak throwing that much. Where we have been good is running the ball. That's what's always won us games. Running the ball in a good defensive line. And a bend don't break defense with our DBs. That's what Trayvon Diggs plays, right? He plays break or bend don't break. He's going to jump on every fucking ball, but sometimes he gets burnt. That's why we always have a safety over top of Trayvon. He's a hell of a player. He's a hell of an athlete. In coverage, he's not the greatest. He doesn't miss tackles. He's top 5 in tackles as well as interceptions and deflected passes, especially because he's so fucking aggressive. But we look like shit, guys. We absolutely look like shit. And I'm talking to Cowboys Nation. Mike McCarthy, you're washed. Jerry Jones, fire yourself immediately. Call up Bill Belichick. Be like, hey, Bill, we got a fucking situation over here in Dallas. We need help. We're the second best team in Dallas right now. There's only 2 teams in Dallas. I talked all that shit all off season. All off season about how the Cowboys were going to win. And I didn't say we're going to win it all. I'm not one of those Cowboys fans. This is our year. We're going to win it all. But based on the team we had, I trusted the management team. They brought this team together, right? We have CD we signed. We signed Dak. Okay, I agree with that. Our O-line's decent. Our D-line was looking pretty fucking good with Micah Parsons as well as DeMarcus Lawrence. And we made some fucking moves in the fucking draft that actually looked decent. We got some more O-linemen to complement what we have. We got a linebacker who looked like a dog at Notre Dame. I still don't remember his name. But we didn't make any moves. So I was like, okay, cool. We didn't make any moves, but we made that for a reason. We have the pieces we want. I even defended them not getting Derrick Henry. Okay, Derrick Henry's getting up on in there in age. Completely fine. That's fine. We're not going to sign him. We'll keep Zeke and Rico Dowdle, and we'll get Dalvin Cook as we did, and we'll still be able to keep a running game. We're last in rushing yards and rushing efficiency this year. Dak can't throw the ball more than 30 times without giving up 2 picks. This is absolute fucking garbage. The Cowboys haven't looked this bad in a very long time. But we look awful. We look terrible. And a lot of people want to argue with me, be like, well, we have a lot of injuries, and we do. But the Saints fucked us up, and we had all our team together. So what is the excuse? We suck. That's the excuse. Right now, the Commanders and the Eagles look better than us. The Giants is a give or take, but the Eagles and Commanders look better than us. We probably, at this rate, playing the same type of football we're playing right now, we will not go to a playoff game, and that's so sad given the money we just paid CD as well as Dak. And guess what? We're going to have to pay fucking Micah Parsons next year too, because they like waiting, just like they waited on Dak's contract. Then Jared Goff got signed. Then Trevor Lawrence got signed. And then Jordan Love got signed. And then how are you going to make sense of, oh, well, Dak, who has put up all these numbers, is he not better than Jared Goff? Is he not better than Jordan Love? Is he not better than Trevor Lawrence? So you had to pay him that money. Same thing you did with CeeDee Lamb. You waited too long to sign him to an extension. All these other contracts got built up. Devontae Adams for one, which we could have got on trade. Devontae Adams. Mike Evans. Are you going to say Keenan Allen is better than CD? He's not, so you had to pay him. Same thing is going to happen to Michael Parsons next year. We're going to wait to sign him instead of signing him this year to an extension. He's going to get way more money next year compared to this year, or he's going to fucking walk after his 5th-year option. So, Jerry Jones, I want to let you know you are a shit GM. I would let a monkey with a parachute with a banana up his ass run the Dallas Cowboys before I would ever let you run the Dallas Cowboys. You have done such a shit job since our last Super Bowl in 1996. It may have been 95, 96. Ever since then, this has been a mediocre team that has not made it past the first round of the fucking, or the second round of the fucking playoffs because of bullshit GM moves that you choose to do every fucking year. I can't even blame Dak. I can't. There's only so much you can fucking do, right? If we can't run the ball, guess what? I'm stacking the fucking box when you go to run it, and then I'm gonna make sure you are going to throw the ball every time. I'm gonna bring one of my linebackers every fucking play, and he's gonna ring your bell every fucking play. And the ends, they're gonna crash down, and the ends, they're gonna set the edge, and they're gonna fuck you up every play. And that's what's happening to Dak right now. I can't even blame Dak. I can't. When it comes to stats, his and Patrick Mahomes since 2020 are almost identical. The difference is the efficiency of coaching and the efficiency of the GM and putting the pieces together that we fucking need, not only on offense, not only on defense, but special teams as well, and putting a group of coaches on the fucking field that are good enough to coach in the National Football League. Right now, we're playing checkers. Everybody else is playing chess, and we're playing them just like we played the Ravens. We started coming back, but that's because they started playing conservative. When we played the fucking Lions at home, we got fucking obliterated. Biggest loss at home, I think, since the 80s, which is absolutely insane. This team sucks. Jerry Jones, you are the dumbass of the week for the comments you make week in, week out of the same bullshit that you don't want to fix. Watching this team is like sticking a fucking rusted nail in my eye. It's like putting glass in my mouth and crunching it. It's like wiping my ass with sandpaper. The Cowboys' fucking front office sucks. And if it doesn't change, the same fucking shit is going to happen every single fucking year. Every year. So, Jerry Jones, you are the dumbass of the week, and you deserve it probably every week, just like Georgia fans. You belong in that category every week, but I can't give it to you every week because there are some other dumbasses out there that deserve the light. But this segment has been brought to you by Augusta Hemp Company for all your pre-rolls, all your gummies, and all of your liquid needs. They do have THC infused tequila, bourbon, everything you could think of. Augusta Hemp Company, go online. You can also go to the stores on Washington Road. I don't remember the exact address. But Jerry Jones, you get a sponsored dumbass this week because you are the biggest dumbass of all the dumbasses. And I'm tired of seeing you in the booth smiling when we do good and sitting there like a fucking, you look like a fucking, you look like a fucking chicken that's been plucked. You look like a fucking ball sack that just got shaved. You are nothing, brother. You are not good at your job. You are a rich bastard who is too prideful to understand that you're not doing good enough. So Jerry Jones, sincerely from Cowboys Nation at this current time, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you until you can do something better with the fucking amount of talent that we have on this team. 2014, we should have won. 2016, we were great. 2020, we were great. Last year, 2023, we were great. And guess what happened? The same stupid coaching bullshit, the same stupid plays, and the same management issues that starts with Jerry fucking Jones. And Cowboys Nation, if you don't agree with me, you're just a fucking imbecile. You haven't been watching the same games I have. You haven't been seeing the moves they have been making. There is a reason this team has been mediocre since the 90s. Late 90s, 2000s. It's because of that old cocksucker in the booth. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry. Fuck. Damn. Shit. All right. Let's get into some college football. Fuck you, Jerry Jones. College football was a good one. College football was a good one. I had made about 4 picks. One of them were kind of me just playing around. I said Mississippi State by, 100. But I did say LSU by 3. I did say Oregon by 1. I technically said 1.5, so I guess I was wrong there. And I believe I said Alabama. I don't actually remember last pick I made. I think I made like 4 or 5. But let's get into it. Let's start with Georgia. Since we're in Athens, let's start with Georgia. Now, I think this was the first time a team that was unranked put this many points up on Georgia since like 2015. 31-41, Georgia won. But it's Mississippi State. They're 1-5. What are we doing? What are we doing? And everybody, I know what you Georgia fans want to do. You're going to blame Carson Beck. That's what you're going to do. And yes, he had 2 interceptions. I completely understand. But he also had 3 touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns. Don't forget that. He had 3 tutties. All right? So who do y'all really put this on? Because Carson Beck doesn't play defense, right? He doesn't play defense at all. Mississippi State put up 31 points. So what's going on defense here? Because Mississippi State's quarterback had 300 yards passing, 3 tutties, and only 1 interception. So what are we doing on defense to stop this guy? Because Carson Beck doesn't play defense. He had 2 picks. The last 2 games he had 5 picks totals. But he also had about 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns. So are you blaming Carson Beck, or are you looking at Michael Van Buren's Jr.'s stats and be like, okay, well, what is our defense doing wrong? Because when it comes to rushing, y'all held them. Their biggest rusher only had 32 yards. But when it comes to passing, let's see how many players they had 100 yards passing. Give me 1 second while I pull up player stats. They had 5 players with over 50 yards receiving, and 3 players were over 70. And one of them had 2 tutties. So are you still blaming Carson Beck? Carson Beck threw for almost 500 yards. Threw the ball 50 times. That doesn't seem like, Georgia football. Threw the ball 50 fucking times. So you expect a couple mistakes, but he threw the ball 50 times, almost 500 yards passing, 3 tutties. You're expected to win with 3 tutties. You put up 41 points as a Georgia Bulldog, you're winning the game. But they only won by 10 against Mississippi State. So you got to ask yourself what's really going on here, Georgia fans. Is it really Carson Beck? Or is y'all's defense not as good as y'all thought it was? Right? Because Mississippi State's 1-5. They're 1-4 going into this game. And y'all played at home. Y'all didn't play on the road. It's not like y'all were playing. Y'all were playing between the hedges. Remember, this is between the hedges, Athens, Georgia. You're going to come in here. You're going to know what football's about. This is Athens, Georgia, boy. Athens fucking home of the dogs. Ho, ho, ho. What happened? What happened? So this makes me even more nervous for Georgia Bulldogs. Not the fans, because I would be cool with the fans seeing Georgia lose to Texas. But I do like Carson Beck. I do think he's a good quarterback. I think Kirby Smart's the best coach in college football right now. Mike Buble's a hell of a play caller, too. Whether y'all want to say it or not, he puts up fucking points every team he's been with y'all. But this makes me very nervous for the Georgia Bulldogs. They're going to Texas, which they already proved they can't play on the road, to Kentucky and Alabama. They don't look good on the road. You barely look good at home against a Mississippi State team who was 1-4 and 1-5 now. What is really going on in Athens, Georgia? What is going on? Are you not playing with the same resiliency as days past? Is it too young of a team? What's going on? That's really what I'm looking at. But Carson is not the main issue of this team. Yes, against Alabama, he made some reads that looked like shit. This game, he did have 2 interceptions, but he also had 3 touchdowns, almost threw for 400 yards. I mean, can you ask for more out of Carson Beck? What you really need, this rushing attack, this game wasn't the fucking greatest. Let's just be honest. Let's look at it here. You only had, 140 yards rushing. Okay, so that's not too terrible. Total of, okay, I didn't even see that. Okay, you had a decent running game this year, or this game. Not bad. 146 yards, not bad. But I feel like Georgia is a better team when they're running the ball than they are passing the ball. And I feel like that's always been the case, except for whenever you had Matthew Stafford. Obviously, that was a while ago. But if you look at Jake Fromm, Aaron Murray, as well as Stetson Bennett, your main focus was going to be running the ball because your rushing attack and your O-line was so good that you just pound people down the throat. And now it seems like it's kind of going the opposite way, where you're leaning on Carson to throw 50 times a game, 40, 30, 40 times a game, and expecting him to win the game for you. Maybe y'all need to introduce a little bit more running game than y'all have been in this past game. Because this past game, you threw the ball way more than you ran the ball. So it wasn't really balanced as you're looking at it. But I am a little bit nervous. I am a little nervous for this game coming up in Texas. I think Texas wins by 7 to 10 points. 7 to 10 points, and you can quote me, clip this, or do whatever you want to do. I think Texas wins by 7. If Georgia plays like this, how they did against Bama in the first half, how they did against Mississippi State last game, how they did against Kentucky on the road, Georgia loses by 7 to 10 points. I don't know what the spread is currently right now, but yeah, I think 7 to 10 points is probably where I would list it at. They're not playing how Georgia football is played. They're not. So Georgia could come out and listen. I am okay with eating my words on the next podcast on next Monday or Tuesday and saying, okay, I was wrong. Georgia won this game and they're back where they belong. Do I think that's going to happen? No, but I'm always up for surprises in college football. We've seen a lot of surprises already. But yeah, with the way Georgia's playing currently, if they're going to lean on Carson Beck to throw 50 times a game, you're not going to win many games against big teams. I'm not saying you're not going to win games, but big teams like Alabama, like Texas, and these teams, you're not going to win many games with that happening. You gotta have a balanced game with the run and the pass. And that game, Carson should not be throwing the ball 50 times. It just shouldn't happen. You don't have Brock Bowers anymore. It's just, you don't have a Ryan Williams. You don't have a player like that. So that just needs to stop. They need to run the ball more. That is Georgia's DNA. You're literally running back you probably right behind Alabama. That is your DNA. Stick to it. Stick to it. Now, like I said, 7 to 10 points, I'm giving the advantage Texas next week. And I know a lot of Georgia fans aren't going to like that, and that's completely fine. I understand you're a Georgia fan and you think your team's going to win every game, especially since Kirby's there. Y'all feel like every game is a game you're going to win by 30 points. Obviously, this year, the competition's looking pretty fucking tough for you boys, all right? So you can say, go dogs, all you want, but, sometimes you're going to lose, all right? And they don't look that great this year. Georgia does not. Sorry if that makes you upset. Georgia does not look that great this year. They don't. Almost lost to Kentucky on the road. Lost to Alabama on the road. And let Mississippi State put 31 points up on your boys. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to go ahead and get to this next game. The Oregon-Ohio State game. I watched this one live downtown. And I guarantee you, I was downtown Athens, and it doesn't matter who would have lost. Everybody would have been cheering anyway. But I knew this was coming. I had a feeling this was coming, right? I had an idea that this was coming. Why? This is what happens with Ohio State pretty often. Pretty often with Ohio State. You expect Ohio State to give up one. Usually it's at the end of the season whenever they play Michigan. But this one came against an Oregon team that looks pretty fucking solid. I mean, but you expect this from Ryan Day. The end of the game, the lack thereof of time management was absolutely hilarious. You don't really expect. It reminds me whenever the Cowboys get into the playoffs, and then they kind of do this bullshit kind of. See, I'm gonna get back into a tangent. I'm gonna make sure I stay on Ohio State. I'm not gonna get on a tangent on the Cowboys. So, anyways, the lack thereof of time management was insane. But I mean, Ohio State just proved again that they don't have a defense ready to deal with a lethal offense. They don't. My boy Dylan Gabriel put up 340 yards, 2 tutties. Jordan James had 23 carries, 115 yards, and 1 TD. Then Evan Stewart, and this is all Oregon, by the way, I'm sorry, 7 receptions, 149 yards, and a TD. Right? And Will Howard didn't play bad either. He didn't. He was 20 of 35. So he missed 7 of his passes out of 35. 326 yards and total of 2 TDs. Travion Henderson had 10 carries for 87 yards. Not terrible for a running back, especially not the starting running back. And Jeremiah Smith had 9 receptions for 100 yards and a TD. Again, not bad. But if you look at this defensively, both teams could not stop the other. Oregon almost put up 500 yards of total offense. Ohio State had 470 yards total offense. Passing yards was damn near identical. So was rushing yards. It's just teams like this, Oregon and Ohio State, do not have the defenses. It's going to be a shootout. That's what it's going to be. And I love to see shootouts. It's something I love to see. It's like watching whenever Jared Goff was on the fucking what's his name, the Rams, and they played Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs that one year. They put up almost 50 points each. You love to see that. And people don't like seeing big defenses where it's only 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. So I get the reasoning behind people like watching. I don't. I want to see defense. I want to get to see people get hit in the mouth. But both these teams, they don't have a defense that's going to be able to set up with a team with a great offense. But on the flip side, if you're playing a team like an Oregon or Ohio State, and you also don't have a defense, it's going to be a hell of a game and people are going to watch it. I'm sure the views on this game was in the multi-millions, and that's amazing. But neither of these teams have a defense that's going to stop either the other when it comes down into the trenches. It's just about who's going to make the first mistake. And that happened whenever, what's his name? Why do I always forget his name? Will Howard ran the ball and then slid and didn't slide in time. I believe they had a timeout left and ended up losing the game. That's just what happens. I mean, you make a fucking mistake. First person to make a mistake on offense is going to lose the game. And this is how it happened here. But I called this game. I knew it was going to happen. Ohio State is not going to give up that game against Michigan this year because Michigan is not good. And if you're a Michigan fan, after winning the championship and then coming out and being number 24 and not playing very well, I feel for you, brother. I really do. But karma always comes around. Connor Stallions, hashtag. Anyways, Ohio State is who we thought they were. They're going to give up one of these games, but I was talking about this previously. I don't see them losing a game to another team besides Penn State. They do have to go to Penn and play at Beaver Stadium. So that's going to be a game I'm going to be very excited for, to see that game and see how that turns out, because everybody's going to be watching that game. That's going to be crucial for Ohio State. They need to win that game. You can't have 2 losses. I mean, I guess as an Ohio State, I guess how they lose is the biggest issue, but you don't want to have 2 losses. Now, Oregon's good. They play Purdue, Illinois, Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, and then Washington in the season. I don't see them losing the game. Them and Miami will go undefeated by the end of the season and probably be the 1 and 2 seed when it comes to the playoffs. That's just how I see it going. And this is going to be a wild ending to the year because, like I said, you have Georgia and Texas next week. You have Alabama, Tennessee next week. There's some big games coming up. Georgia still has to play Ole Miss on the road as well as Tennessee, I believe. Is it Tennessee? I would have to double check. Let me see. I believe Georgia plays Tennessee, but they play them at home. So Texas, Tennessee, but you play at home. So you got 3 big games for Georgia coming up with the Texas on the road, Ole Miss on the road, as well as Tennessee at home. You got some big games that's going to really prove whether this team deserves to be in the playoffs or not. With it being 12 games or 12 teams now, you have a little bit of a push to where you don't have to have a perfect season. But Georgia, you cannot lose 2 to 3 games this year. You can't. You cannot. I was tired of talking about Georgia. Anyways, I think we all knew Ohio State was going to have one of these games where they come out and they just get beat, and they got beat this game. They weren't the best team on the field today or Saturday, and they were the ones to give up the biggest mistake that caused a loss for them. And I'm cool with that. It makes me very happy to see Ohio State go down, especially with all their fans saying how good they were, and they're talking shit on the SEC. Though I don't care about the SEC, I don't like seeing Ohio State or Michigan or Penn State, who really hasn't done shit, hasn't done much. I mean, for example, Ohio State hasn't won a championship since I was like 12 years old. Penn State, biggest scandal they had was when their coach was touching little kids. So I really don't have much to say to anybody of those fans because you haven't done anything. So not only kiss my ass, but kiss your neighbors too. Um, Alabama, South Carolina. This is another game where Alabama could have possibly lost. What the fuck is going down in Tuscaloosa? What is going on? What is happening in Tuscaloosa? And why Jalen Milroe, this was his worst game. Worst game of the season for Jalen Milroe. And I know everyone's like, oh, well, what about the Vandy game? The Vandy game was more on the defense than it was Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe still had big Heisman numbers against Vandy. They just ended up losing because their defense just could not stop Vandy. In this game, my guy had only one TD and 2 picks, only throwing for about 200 yards and about 60% on passing. He didn't look good. He didn't look like a Heisman player, but they did get in the win. They scored 13 points in the fourth quarter unanswered to win this game. So good job to rally. But brother, what are we doing in Tuscaloosa? I know Alabama. This is not Alabama. Who is this? You're playing against South Carolina at home. I know South Carolina is a tough team. LSU played them, 2 weeks back? They are a tough team. But you're Bama. Alabama, what is going on? Lenore Sellers, 238 yards, 2 tutties against Alabama's defense. Raheem Sanders, 16 carries, 78 yards, and 1 tutty. Mazio Bennett, 3 receptions, 57 yards, and 1 tutty. Now, if we're going to total yards, Alabama gets beat by about 60 yards, total yards. So we're very kind of close when it comes to total yards. Pretty close. But what is going on with Jalen Milroe? 200 yards only total? What are we doing, brother? What is going on in Tuscaloosa? Why are they fading right now? Why are they fading right before our eyes? They came out against Georgia, and I'm telling you, they look like one of the best teams. In that first half against Georgia, they look like the best team in the nation. And even the second half, they look like the best team in the nation. Ryan Williams, with how elusive and how fast and how quick he is. And Jalen Milroe, the fact that they couldn't contain him, nor did they try, because if you rewatch that Georgia-Alabama game, there was no attempt to contain him. They didn't put a spy. They didn't put a robber out there. They didn't have anybody out there to stop him. So I want to know what the fuck is going on. This is one of the most athletic players in the entire college football association. The entire college football association. One of the most talented players, along with Travis Hunter, or Travis, what that kid name is, or whatever, from Colorado, and what's his name from Boise State. One of the most athletic and talented players in college football, but yet looking rough these past 2 weeks. Losing to Vandy and then coming out playing not great against a South Carolina team. It's getting a little sus, to say the least. This is not Bama of past. Because I seen Coach DeBoer smiling after the Vanderbilt game. Right after the Vanderbilt game, you saw him just smiling. And I know Nick Saban was sitting in that press box, and he was like, "Why is this motherfucker smiling?" Because when Nick Saban was coach, they could be up by 60. You make a fucking mistake, and he loses a fucking gasket. Same with Kirby Smart. Will Muschamp, Urban Meyer, Les Miles. The best coaches were the ones that weren't okay with just mediocre or winning games. They wanted to embarrass you by the time of that game ended. Remember when Jalen Hurts went into Nashville and they were talking shit? Vanderbilt was talking shit the week before because they said you have to come and play SEC football at Nashville and Vanderbilt. They beat Vanderbilt by 60 points. 60. And they kept fucking going until the final bell rang. The final fucking whistle. This team is not Alabama team of past. It's not. They're getting by. They got by this game by the skin of their teeth. Skin of their fucking teeth. They're lucky to have won this game. I'm just gonna be honest with you. They are very lucky to have won this game, and I guess it keeps it competitive for the next week. Tennessee, Alabama makes it a little bit more exciting because you got a 5-1 Tennessee versus a 5-1 Alabama. But Alabama, you do have to play Tennessee next week or this upcoming week. Got to play Missouri at home. Go to Death Valley against my Tigers. They're a good fucking ball team now. They are. You got to play Mercer. That's a win. So you got to get between these next few weeks. Going to be very crucial, just like for Georgia. It's going to be very crucial for you. Very crucial. Y'all like how I say crucial? It's going to be very crucial for you. Listen, you got to play Tennessee on the road. That's no small feat. You play Missouri at home. I think that's a win. I think that's a win for you. But then you got to go to Death Valley. You got to go to Death Valley with the Raging Cajuns. And you got to go down there. And you got to play Garrett Nussmeier. And you got to go down there. And you got to go down there. And they're going to play NECA. And they're gonna play the band. And you're going to see a lot of purple and yellow. You're going to see a lot of purple and yellow down there in the bayou. You're going to see a lot of purple and yellow down there in the bayou. But you got to come down to Death Valley and you got to play us. And when you play us, we're going to play you hard. We're going to play that. We're going to wear that yellow and we're going to wear that purple and we're going to be ready for you. I tell you that. But yeah, Alabama, you got a tough stretch in the next 3 games. Missouri's not a pushover team, even though they look like. I still think they're a tough team to no matter what happened against Texas A&M. In that 41-10 loss, but you also got to play Tennessee on the road and LSU on the road. So there's going to be some big games coming up. I'm very excited. This season has been so great. I don't care what anybody. I know there's a lot of fans out there who probably hate their lives, such as Florida fans, and I think we're about to get into that game soon. Florida fans hate themselves. We're about to jump into that game, but this has been a really good when it comes to competition and seeing teams play and not blowouts. This has been a great fucking season. I don't care what anybody has to say. This has been an amazing season for that. And I love the competitiveness. I love just watching good football. I love watching football where it's competitive and it's not checkers, it's fucking chess, and you have to just get after it. And I love the fact that this season is like that. This is the first year in a while that I have been more interested in college football than I have NFL football. I don't know if it's because I'm about to talk about Dallas Cowboys again. I don't know if it's because the Dallas Cowboys suck or LSU actually looks good. Last year they looked good too, but obviously we only won 8 games. So this year I feel a little bit better about what we're doing, and the Cowboys suck. But I'm very excited about these games we've been watching. And shout out to Texas, still holding it down at I think 6-0 now. And they absolutely obliterated and murdered Oklahoma. Shout out to them for holding it down. Let's get into this Tennessee-Florida game. Let's get into it. All my Florida fans, I'm sorry. All right. I know at one point y'all were up, what? You were up 10-0 at one point in the third quarter. And then y'all gave up, what is that? Gave 17 unanswered points, came back, scored a tutty, but then they scored on you, and y'all lost the game. What is that? Yeah, they scored on you, lost the game in overtime. That's a fucking heartbreaker. You even beat them in every stat besides rushing yards. Woof. That's a fucking heartbreaker. Tennessee almost lost again after that loss to, who they lose to last week? Was it Arkansas? That's fucking right. Arkansas last week, and they come back, almost lose to Florida. At home, by the way. At home. And almost lose to Florida. Listen, to all my Florida fans, I do feel for you. I really do. I really feel for you. Because my Cowboys are 3-3 as well. And shout out to my brother. Not only is he a Florida fan, but he's also a Florida Gators fan. So He's looking at this right now when looking at a 3-3 Cowboys and a 3-3 Florida Gators, and he's probably not too happy. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Um, I heard Graham Mertz. I think he tore his ACL, if I'm not mistaken. Let me click. You should say it. Yep, season ended with a torn ACL. So that's huge for the Florida Gators. I think it was a non-contact injury. Probably going to be ending his college career. But tore his ACL. That's not something you want to see. But you do have DJ Lagway. He had some flashes to the fire. Didn't really get it going, but the fact that you were at a 3-3 team with Billy Napier, who I think is a shitty coach, against a 5-1 Tennessee Volunteers team to only lose by 6. I'm sure you don't want to hear about moral victories, but the fact that you were up 10-0 on this team at one point, I think is something you should definitely think about. But at the same time, if I was you, I would be pissed as well, especially with how the season started. There were a lot of hope for y'all to come out and do better than y'all did last year, and it just looks about the same, if not worse. Now, getting into Tennessee, shout out to my boy Theo Thurmond. Tennessee, you got to play Alabama next week. You got to play a tough Kentucky team the week after, Mississippi State. You got to play Georgia in Athens November 16th, UTEP, and in Vanderbilt. All right, so you have some big games coming up. And you're probably going to, out of those, because you got that big 4-game stretch with Alabama, Kentucky, Mississippi State, as well as Georgia, you're probably going to win 2 out of the 4. 2 out of the 4. You're going to have 3 losses this year. I'm sorry to say it. Somebody has to do it, and it's going to be Tennessee. I'm sorry I have to hurt your feelings so badly, but that's what it is, and that's how it's going to be. And for Florida fans, it only can get better from here. Let me look at y'all's schedule as well. I could be lying. You do have to play Kentucky, but it is at home. Jacksonville against Georgia. Oh, fuck me. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. This has to be the roughest 5-game stretch. Listen to this. Anybody who's listening. Kentucky, Georgia, Texas at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss. Obviously, Florida State fucking sucks. I think they'll beat Florida State. But Kentucky, Georgia, number 1 Texas, number 8 LSU, and number 18 Ole Miss. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. That's got to be the toughest fucking. Oh my God. Holy shit. To all my Florida fans, I absolutely apologize for these next 5 games you do have coming up, because this is absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. The next 5 games is probably the toughest in football thus far. Holy shit. Actually, you had Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, and then Ole Miss. And if we were looking at this from the beginning of the season, we would probably throw Florida State in there, but they fucking suck. They lost to SMU. But Kentucky, Georgia, number 5 Georgia, number 1 Texas, number 8 LSU, and number 18 Ole Miss. Holy shit. God bless the Florida Gators for what they're about to go through in the next 5 weeks. They are all on suicide watch currently. Wow. Especially with your starting quarterback going down and having a coach like Billy Napier, who is a fucking travesty to the Florida Gator Nation. This is really a really good program, and it's just hasn't got the coach they needed. But this right here is fuck. Let me say that one more time. They got to play a Kentucky team who is a very tough team. I don't care what a very tough team. You got to go to Georgia or play Georgia in Jacksonville. You got to play at Texas. You play at home against LSU, and you play at home against Ole Miss. Holy shit! God bless all of you. Florida fans are now and for the rest of the year on suicide watch, and it's not even close. That has to be the hardest schedule to end a season of anyone. Holy shit! My God, brothers, all my brothers who are Florida fans, I feel for you already because that is shit. Holy shit. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is insane. Never seen anything. The football committee who makes these absolutely hates you. Absolutely hates you. They can't stand you. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely insane. Wow. Holy shit. I'm still mind boggled by that. Because even at the beginning of the season, that's a rough schedule. Those last five, 6 games. But even now, looking at who you have to play, fuck me, brother. Damn. All right. Get into this LSU Ole Miss game. Of course, I watched it. Jackson Dart didn't look bad. Didn't look terrible, but didn't look great. Threw for 284 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. If you don't know who that is, Jackson Dart is the starting quarterback for Ole Miss. Excuse me. Garrett Nussmeier threw for 337 yards and 3 TDs. Wow. And our running game was this is not there. 12 carries for 37 yards for Caden Durham. But Kyron Lacey, the fucking baller he is, he's about to go in the league and make some shit happen as well. 5 receptions, 111 yards, and 1 TD. I did watch this game and went all the way to OT. All the way to OT. What was funny about this game is Jackson Dart had thrown an interception in the fourth quarter. And then on the next drive, after we got the ball, Garrett Nussmeier also threw a pick. And then they got the ball back. But, at one point we were down 10-0 against this team, came back. In the second quarter, we were down 17-7. Came back end of the second quarter, it was 17-13. They put up another field goal. It was mostly field goals in this game. I don't know what it is about LSU and not wanting to score in the red zone, but we just can't push it in. But luckily, Garrett Nussmeier and Kyron Lacey fucking put us on their backs and scored that last touchdown to win the game for us in OT. And it was a walk-off win for the LSU Tigers. Go Tigers! And the band did, in fact, play neck. But this proves that the Tigers are ready for those type of games where they can go the extra mile and win the game. We showed that against South Carolina. Now we're showing this against Ole Miss as well. At the beginning of the season when we played USC, they tried to come back against USC. They putting themselves into a kind of a comeback situation. I'm not sure why. It was kind of the same thing against USC and South Carolina. Came back and win against South Carolina, lost USC, but then we did win this one against Ole Miss. It was a big win, huge win for all of Tiger Nation, actually. And I was very happy about this game. I couldn't have been more happy, actually, because it was a big game, absolutely huge game. We do got Arkansas coming up, and they're a tough team. They really are. We got A&M in College Station. We play Bama, Florida, Vanderbilt, and then Oklahoma to end the season. I wish I had predictions, but I really don't. I think we beat Arkansas. I think it's going to be a close game within 3 to 7 points against Texas A&M. We do have to play at College Station. Alabama, that's going to be another 3 to 7 point game. It could go either way. Blow the absolute brakes off of Florida, beat Vandy, and beat Oklahoma. So we have 2 toss-up games that I think we could possibly lose, and that's Texas A&M as well as Alabama. And I think those would be, like I said, 3 to 7 point differential either side because both are good football teams, despite how they've been playing the last few weeks. But very exciting stuff. Luckily, I got the Cowboys out of the picture at the beginning of the podcast because that was absolutely abysmal play by them. Offense, defense, and special teams. We look like a fucking kindergarten CCRD, KFA, fucking 12U team. Don't even get me started. But yeah, exciting shit happening. We got some big games coming up this week as well. We really do. Texas against Georgia at Texas. I'm trying to pull up the next one. Alabama versus Tennessee at Tennessee. Those are the 2 biggest games of the week. And then you have Michigan, Illinois, both ranked teams, but in the lower 20s. Then you got Miami playing Louisville as well. And Louisville have given certain people a run for their money this year, so we'll see what happens. SEC ball, you have Auburn versus Mississippi State. Again, Alabama versus Tennessee. LSU, Arkansas, Georgia, Texas, Texas A&M, and Mississippi State. So some big games coming up, man, and it's exciting. Like I said, if you want my predictions for the Texas-Georgia game, I think Texas wins by 7 to 10 points. I think Bama beats Tennessee by at least 10, I want to say 12 points. 12 points for Alabama. But I think Georgia truly does lose on the road against Texas by at least 7 to 10 points for sure. I'm up for surprises, and I know Georgia fans will be all in my inbox if they do end up winning, and I'm here for it. But I truly think Texas wins that game with a team at in Georgia who simply doesn't play well on the road. They don't. They haven't thus far this season, but we'll see what they can do and what they will do. Again, Dumbass of the Week was Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy of the Dallas Cowboys, and that was brought to you by the Augusta Hemp Company for all your pre-rolled gummies, as well as your liquid needs, such as liquid-infused tequila, bourbon, and other things they do have. Thank you again for listening to this podcast. I know we get off the rails and I talk shit about certain teams as well as my own team. I do want to say go Tigers, go Cowboys. How about the boys, even though we do suck? And Georgia Nation, you will have another loss by the end of this week, by the time I talk again. Again, thank you for listening. This has been another episode of DJ Youngblood Experience.